My name is Bobby Galli, and I am the Outreach Director here at Joe's Place. I basically run the youth center and the volunteers, so I am in charge of the day-to-day operations of Joe's Place. Well, one of the exciting things at Joe's Place is you never know who or what's going to walk through the door. So it's greeting the kids and people that come in with donations, as well as all of that. And then there's always time for playing pool and ping pong and cards and having baby showers and birthday parties and going bowling, going to the beach. There's always something going on at Joe's Place. That's the highlight for me, is just the consistency of relationships that we're able to have with the kids. As we get to know them better, they get to know us better. There becomes a real family environment. Like, I was blessed the other day, one of the girls came in, walked all the way from her house, just came in to introduce her boyfriend to me. Didn't want to eat, wasn't going to hang out, and he was only in town for a little while, but she wanted him to meet me. And just those sort of relationships and opportunities where you're able to just be an example in how they want your input and want you to be a part of their lives. That's what it's all about. And so it's really just relational evangelism. As you build that relationship, you're able to speak more and more truth, more and more love, more and more life, and more of Christ into their life.
I'm here with my good friend Bobby Galli, man. It's good to see you. And you and I go way back. We have done a lot of fun, had a lot of fun together. Our kids play together, go to school together, all that good stuff. We have had many a good times attending church, teaching Bible studies, and and having you exhaust me in the gym many hours along the way. The physique, it's from Bobby, and so
dad bod specialists.
That's right. So man, oh man. It's a cool thing, Joe's Place. This is one of those things. When I first came to Grants Pass, I would see the Joe's Place sign way back when you were up on 6th Street, up by the freeway, before you and I worked either for the mission or for Joe's Place. But Darren's been at work at this for a long time. What's your role at Joe's Place? What's your title officially?
I believe my official title is Outreach Director. But what I do is I run the day-to-day operations of the youth center, and basically that involves, dealing with all the kids and building relationships, because Joe's Place is a ministry that is relational. We're in it for these kids with the long haul. We're not just gonna give them a plate of food and say, see you later. We really develop good friendships, good relationships, and come alongside and see where we can help these kids. And some of them are homeless, some of them, just have some bad family lives, and some of them come from decent families and they just enjoy the place to hang out and, the camaraderie and the friends that they develop there. And so we have a variety of kids. The homeless aspect of our ministry is our focus, and homeless/disadvantaged kids that just need help, whether it's in school or with toiletries or with a tent at times. But it's, I guess, as I was thinking about today, I thought of 3 different kids, 3 scenarios. And these are kids that I love dearly, that I've worked with for multiple years. And they've had a variety of challenging situations, and some are pushing through and some are just surrendering or getting beat by these situations.
So before you do, I mean, when you say you pour your life into these kids, I mean, shoot, we used to go to the gym with some of them, right? I mean, you probably still do it. So, something. I mean, these are things, just like what we do, here at the mission. I mean, many of the mission residents are amongst my best friends. They're people that I know and love and pour my life out into, and that's true for all my staff. Everybody here at the mission, man, we are into this in the deepest of ways. You are certainly into this in the deepest of ways. I mean, I've seen, our church end up pouring into, following you into Joe's Place and diving in and everything. So tell me about these three guys, or three folks in their situations.
So there's, first is a girl, we'll say girl A.
Girl A.
And when we first came into contact, I believe she was a junior in high school.
Yeah.
And she had just basically gotten kicked out / removed from Hearts with a Mission for not following the rules, not, being a part of their program.
Right.
And was currently couch surfing, bouncing back and forth on friends' couch. And then she started staying with her aunt, and it was a pretty good, stable home. She was cleaner. She was, looking better. She was going to school more because it was easy to not go to school when you didn't have stuff set in place to make it easy, like busing, like just any sort of accountability. Somebody saying, "Hey, get up and go to school."
Right. So rules and accountability are like one of the consistent. I mean, we're always getting trashed for having rules and expecting accountability, but what we're saying is, what we often say is that, one of the consistent things with folks that are homeless is a disregard and disrespect for boundaries and rules and accountability. And so here's a young lady that is starting that out young and going that way and finding herself homeless as a result. And then a solution comes up. Hey, I've got a family member that's going to take me in, and it'll be a stable environment. But there's also rules and accountability, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it seems to be, what I've noticed is like a 2-week cycle with most of these kids. It will start out, it will be paradise for the first week.
Yeah.
And, that's because they're, given a lot of leeway. Then people start to clamp down, going, okay, you can't just sit here and eat and do nothing and, freeload and then have an attitude about the whole thing to begin with.
Yeah, right.
Like, you should be blessed by them just gracing you with their presence or something.
Right.
And so back to girl A, she wanted to dye her hair either purple or pink or something like that.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, her aunt said, no, I don't want you doing that. Whether it was because she didn't want it to influence the other kids in the house or whatever, but, it's her house. It's a reasonable rule. Like, it's not costing her anything. It's not unsafe. It's not, anything other than
what we're saying is,
don't do it.
Don't spend money on this frivolous thing that's unnecessary. It's not a good use of resources to get your hair dye your hair another color, but it also causes you to immediately stand out and draw attention to yourself. Maybe some get some positive reinforcement from it, but maybe get some negative reinforcement along with it as well. Certainly, if she was out applying for jobs and things like that. That might hamper her success in some ways. So anyways, keep going.
And so she decided to leave her aunt's house, that it was more important for her to have this hair color of her choice that she would then probably change within a few weeks or a month to a different hair color.
Right.
So it was not anything permanent or long lasting, but she chose to leave a stable living environment to instability, which affects her school, which affects her diet, which affects her well-being as a person, because from there she went to straight up living on the streets as a 17-year-old good-looking girl. Like, she was, attractive, and it was a scary situation for her. And I had conversations with her about it, like, why would you do that? And she's like, well, I just don't like people telling me what to do. Well, I don't either. Nobody likes people telling them what to do. That's, that's the other theme, is they always say, well, I just have a problem with authority. No, you're just a person. Right. Because people have problems with authority.
Yeah.
You just need to figure out how to deal with that better than you're doing, and not just give in to it. But the school doesn't teach them that. The school doesn't teach them, you need to compromise. It's your feelings, your choice. It's okay. Everything that you do, just because somebody feels something doesn't make it true.
Or good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to one school teacher who was saying that she has a problem with a student in her classroom that will act out, and he'll start throwing a temper tantrum, and he begins throwing things and breaking things in the classroom, screaming and having a fit and falling in it. And her only recourse is to actually remove all the other kids out of the classroom and just let him finish it out. And I'm thinking, this is what we're teaching our kids. You can't, look, God will not be mocked. You can't simply do this and then run around scratching your head wondering how we got here. Mm-hmm. You did this to yourself in your education system, in your communities. You're doing this to yourself, and you can't sit there and then be surprised when you get bad results, right?
Yeah. And don't think I'm coming against teachers, because they, they're expected to do all these things with their hands tied behind their back, basically.
Exactly.
And so, it's not the teacher's fault. It's the system and the way that our schools are going is creating these unaccountable, obedient. Obedient sounds like such a strong word, but it's like there's a reasonable expectation of behavior and of just how you treat people, how you respond to things.
Isn't it funny that you'd feel like you have to go, disobedience sounds like something strong. Why is that a strong thing? I mean, it's, the police, say, stop. And all you need to do is stop. Mm-hmm. But they keep running, and they're surprised when the policeman uses force, or the policeman, slow down, read the stop sign, read the speed limit sign. And when we don't, then we're surprised at the results we get. It seems, again, it seems like we're doing this to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we're doing it to our kids, man. I mean, this is where I love that you guys, you and Darren and all the volunteers that come down there to Joe's Place are right there, really trying to engage these kids, even though they've been kind of, raised with and grown up in this kind of this sense of lawlessness and this, battle for their own autonomy. And and everything. And we're going, no, it's actually good to submit to other people sometimes. It's actually for your benefit to humble yourself and submit to those people around you and in the relationships around you. That's a good thing. That's a very biblical thing, right?
Yeah. And at Joe's Place, we don't have a ton of rules, but our biggest rule is, respect. It's respect the facility.
Yeah.
Clean up after yourself. Don't just break things because you're being careless or ridiculous. And respect the people around you. You're not going to just come in and be a jerk and be rude and be disrespectful to not only other kids, but staff or volunteers.
Sure.
And, respect yourself. Like, take pride in yourself.
Yeah.
And I have had conversation after conversation with a lot of these kids, and these kids have been kicked out of school, kicked out of homes, all of these things. Yet they'll come to Joe's Place, and I will have very little problems with disobedience.
Right.
And why is that? I personally feel it's one, because they know that I love them.
Sure.
Every kid that comes in there more than a couple times, they know that I love them and I care about them and I want the best for them.
Sure.
They might not always agree with maybe what I want for them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But they do know that I am trying to help them and I'm trying to look out for them legitimately. And like I said, in the long run.
Yeah.
I'm not just trying to solve the problem of the day.
Right.
I'm looking at who they are as a person, their character, their, self-worth, their own value, and trying to prepare them for being a part of society.
Sure.
And so we have these kids that come, and I've talked to teachers or whatever, and they're like, what? That kid won't, he is so rude, he is so disrespectful, and he'll come to Joe's Place and be amazing.
Wow.
And
so it's clear that they're capable of being amazing, which is what you've been saying all along. Mm-hmm. They're capable of being so much more than they've become, in part maybe because of the approach, in part because you've struck up that relationship with them, and maybe it's not that teachers haven't done this. Maybe it's that we have through our school boards and through our education policies and stuff, we have tied the legs and the feet and and the hands of teachers from being able to be that thing that you guys can be for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if you don't give a kid a standard, they won't meet it.
Right.
Like, if you're not clear
Yeah.
with your expectations
Yeah.
and a minimum standard
Right.
of behavior of what's appropriate, what's okay, then they're not going to meet it, because they're going to push the boundaries.
Well, and the question is, like, where's that standard come from? You have a standard that's, I think, pretty consistent with my standards and everything, but where does our standards come from? And in the public schools, can they share that same standard?
Oh, I think 100%, because my standards is not based on, this verse or that verse. It's based on common sense and logic and, okay, this is how I want to be treated.
Right.
This is, when somebody treats me badly, it affects me. I don't like it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to allow that. I'm not going to allow somebody to treat another person that way.
Right.
When it's within my power to do something about it.
We're not even talking about, you're suggesting that you're not even talking about a biblical standard necessarily. You're just talking about something that ought to be common sense. Clearly it's not. I think that common sense anymore is kind of a superpower.
Yeah.
So for some reason, the public schools can't seem to find that common sense anymore. They've lost that ability to address it. But you're able to find it. You were raised with it. You were able to see it. You didn't always live by it in your lifetime. Neither did I. But it's the results that we got, the negative results that we got from deviating from that common sense that actually taught us. That was the schoolmaster that taught us to correct our ways and to get back on track, right?
Yep.
So I don't like living homelessly. So that it's uncomfortable. It's cold outside, man. It's cold and wet and miserable. I feel vulnerable. I'm not safe. So what do? Well, it's the schoolmaster to bring me back around, hopefully, to bring me back around to living within common sense and straightening out and not living the life that leads to one of homelessness and addiction and all those kinds of things. You said there were 3 kids that you had in mind.
Oh yeah, okay.
Tell me.
So kind of the long story of girl A, she has continually been in a state of homelessness as far as for many months she was in a car with a boyfriend and the boyfriend's mom and a couple cats. And that's how they lived. They would go kind of from parking lot to parking lot, and we'd try to help them out with little supplies here and there, but then eventually she got to where she was out of our age group, and I'm still in contact with her. We still talk a little bit. If she gets real desperate, I'll still help her out. But she's still stuck in that same cycle.
Okay. Give me some hope.
Kid B, his parents were making it. They had a little place. It was like a travel trailer on a friend's property. It was a constant shifting of where they were staying. Yeah. And this kid had to fight through getting to school, staying in school, keeping up with it this whole time, even through COVID and all of that.
Yeah.
He had to figure things out, and he fought and he tried. And is it perfect? Is he on the honor roll? Is he super successful in school? No. But
is he graduating?
Yes, he should be graduating this year.
That's awesome.
And it's because he has fought for it. He knows this is what I need to do for my future. And so now he's living at a friend's property because the parents they had a falling out. They split up. Now they're kind of back together. And he's out at a property, but he still gets busing to school. Awesome. And goes and works at it. And I remember having a conversation with him just a few weeks ago, and him saying, I keep hoping my parents will get it together basically and get us a house.
Yeah.
But I don't think they are going to.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, parents just totally don't understand a lot of times how their divisions, their choices, and the struggles that they have can just spill right over into the lives of their kids, and how challenging that makes it for them. But how cool is it that this kid is still fighting his way through the whole thing? Mm-hmm. That's amazing. We got about 5 minutes or less. Give me the other kid, the kid 3.
The last one is similar to the second one in that the parents are kind of in this perpetual state of homelessness.
Yeah.
They work, they'll stay at a hotel for a few days or, maybe a couple weeks, and, which it's like, that kills me because it's $60-$80 a night. And if you multiply out that,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot more than
rent most of the time
would be for an apartment.
Yeah.
Significantly more. It'd be, between $1,600 and $2,000 a month to stay in a hotel.
Yep.
Versus, you can, granted,
You can get a 3-bedroom house for that price.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even in this market, you can get one.
Yeah, that's what I'm paying for my rent,
Right,
which is
right.
right there. So, and this is a kid who has stuck with the parents as far as that goes, but has not made school a priority, has not made, kind of bettering himself. And so he's kind of in this perpetual cycle where, he goes to school for a few weeks or a month and then either stops or gets kicked out, or, it's always the teacher's fault, or, this kid made me mad. And and so there's always a reason for why they're not in school or why he's not going to school. And then it's homeschooled, which is
not
basically nothing. Yeah, he just doesn't do anything. And so his future is going to be hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're telling me that, and you're telling the people watching that basically what you're telling these kids and what you're understanding, these kids aren't, you didn't list for me a bunch of victims, even though each one are victims in their own way.
Yeah, they have had
very hard obstacles to overcome, and that's really hard as a teenager to try and figure that stuff out, or even younger at times. But they still have choices that they're culpable for along the way, that is part of what they do. And you're going to be there for them. Joe's Place is going to be there for them. Either way, you're gonna do your best to be there for them and help guide them in the right direction. Man, you guys have one of the coolest ministries in town. We love Joe's Place, and we love that there is such a the Christian community in Grants Pass, and I'm sure in any town anywhere the Christian community, because this is what Christian communities do, is we do really crazy good things. And we do the support for our communities in ways that they may not even be aware, but benefits the whole community, and does it without a penny of taxpayer cost or anything. It's an amazing thing. If somebody wants to support Joe's Place, if somebody is watching this and they just go, man, where can I write a check? Or how can I find out more? Where would they go?
The website, joesplaceministries.org, I believe.
Okay.
And, or just come on by. We're right across the street from the bowling alley. And I'm happy to give you a tour and talk to you.
So do you know what the address is there?
1205 Rogue River Highway.
Awesome. Okay. And that's in Grants Pass, Oregon, right? 27? Is that 27? Yeah, 97527. All right. Well, that's really good. So if you're somebody watching this right now and you are interested, I would say, by all means, check them out. Check out, you're going to come by and have fun, go in and engage with the kids while you're there. Is there anything in particular that you guys have need of right now that there's a means, apart from just some financial support and prayer?
I would say individually wrapped snacks, because that's one of the things we have always at the youth center is snacks, where there's
every time I'm there, the kids are munching on something, right?
Yeah, and so we go through a lot of those. And
it's the way all my family is when I come home. I see all my kids and stuff, munching on something.
Yeah, so it's a consistent, it's basically we can't get too much of that. We can always use it, and so that's a good easy way. Just throw in an extra box of those bags of chips or something like that. So
all right. thanks for coming in and checking it out with us again, man.
Yep.
And we need to be getting together and doing some munching at each other's house sometime soon.
Yep.
Say hi to your wife for me. Hi, Bethany. And
She's watching.
She's watching. That's awesome.